So what's been going on, Kimberly?
Yeah, it's been a mess lately, right? I feel like I haven't seen you much. Well, you were out for a few days, and then the market's just been it's been a big shift.
It
right?
has, yeah. I mean, you've talked about it, and I've kind of noticed it too.
Yeah.
You know, like you've been saying it's a buyer's market now, really.
Yeah. I don't know that anybody would really argue with me on that. Sellers maybe.
They're like, well,
yeah, we've seen a major shift in the market, and I think we saw it coming, right? I mean, you look at how many listings we're carrying right now, and it seemed like the beginning of the year we were like, what? Like the market is super slow, and then all of a sudden, probably maybe 3-4 weeks ago,
yeah,
our phone just started ringing. My phone would not stop, and we were like listing after listing after listing, and it's supply and demand,
yes,
right? And so I think during COVID, what happened was we had no inventory, low rates, and a ton of buyers.
Yep.
And rates have been high for a little bit now, and I think the market's telling us that buyers are willing to sustain 5-6%. It hits that 7%, and it's kind of a hard no.
Yeah.
And now sellers are willing to sell, wanting to move, and everybody hit the market at once. And so we have a ton of inventory, and buyers are wore out.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's so much,
yeah.
right?
Well, the last 2 years have worn buyers out. So the buyers that didn't win during that COVID market took a step back, and now they're coming back into the game, and they're like, what? Like, you know, what I could get for $800,000 at 3%, now what I can get at 6%, 6.5%, for $800,000, it's a whole different game. And sellers, oh gosh, I saw something the other day that said sellers are living in 2020, and buyers are living in 2008.
Yep.
So, and the market's trying to balance itself out.
Yeah, it is. It's trying. Like we've seen some change, but I mean, we've been, you know, we want our sellers to sell their houses, but you know, I mean, buyers, you know, because there's so much inventory, they think, oh, I can just, if I don't love something about one house, I can just find another. Yeah. You know, and like you said, they don't really have any vision right now because they have the control, really.
They do. The market shifted to a buyer's market. The buyers have the control. And you know, when I talk to or see buyers agents and they're showing 15 houses in a day, and that's because, one, they're not controlling their buyers. They're not saying, no, you know, let's look at 5 houses. The buyers are going, I finally have options, and I want to see them all.
Yep.
You know? Yep. And that's, in some aspects, fair, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so we had, what was it, last weekend, we got 2 offers on 2 of our listings. And they were first weekend on market. Yeah. And they came in 18% below list price.
Yeah.
18%. That's huge.
That is big.
And that tells you where buyers' mindsets are. They want a deal.
Yeah.
They want a deal.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like, I don't know if people are going to give them those deals, you know?
Well, and I think that's where it comes in. So during COVID, anybody and everybody was a real estate agent. And honestly, it didn't take a whole lot of skill to be an agent.
Yeah.
You know, sadly. So with both of our sellers, negotiations are taking a whole lot longer. I mean, it used to be super fast, right? And so we knew we were priced correctly, which is key in this market, right? You can't just go in and overprice a house. We were priced correctly, so we held strong, you know? Yeah. We stayed where we wanted to be, and both buyers came up to where we wanted them to be. Yeah. But it took 4 or 5 days to negotiate both those deals. Yeah. And that's not what we've seen in the market.
Yeah, that's not normal. No. And, you know, I mean, we want what's best for our sellers, but yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, the sellers have to understand that, you know, in regards to pricing, you know what's best because you know what is going to be the most marketable and stuff.
Well, and we're removed from the situation, right? Like, we're not emotionally tied to the house, which I think is hard because, you know, so many sellers, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into a house. So there's an emotional investment in it.
Definitely.
They've seen, as a seller, it's hard because you've seen the last 2 years, you know, how that's all you've heard, right? Like, oh, it's so easy to sell a house, multiple offers. And so I think sellers have kind of been waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
Of, you know, okay, all I gotta do is put a sign in the yard and then I'm gonna have all these offers. And now all of a sudden to see this big shift in the market, that's gotta be like a gut check of damn it, did I miss, right?
Yeah.
But what's fortunate is most sellers become buyers. So you can win on that buyer side.
Exactly.
Right? And then it also, it really, and I've said this and say it over and over again, it's important who you hire as your agent.
Yes, that's something that we reiterate a lot.
All the time, because, you know, there's some agencies here local that are, I gotta be careful how I word this here, but they are full service agents for a much less fee than I guess you would say. There is no set price, right? Every agent negotiates their own fee.
Sure.
But what's interesting about that is one of the lake houses we just sold, this firm has one down the street and their marketing doesn't touch ours. But they also don't spend what we spend in marketing.
That's true.
And our house is under contract and theirs isn't.
Yep.
And guess who they called this weekend? Yeah. The agent called me and was like, hey, you know, what have you done that's different? And how many showings did you have? And what did your activity look like? And girl, I ain't gonna tell you. Like, I'm sorry, right?
We invest in our houses, like time, money, everything.
Yeah. And there's a reason they sell. And again, during COVID, houses sold themselves.
Yeah, and now you got to think about the fact that, okay, we're not in COVID anymore. Houses are not going to do what they were doing.
They're not going to sell themselves. Yeah.
You know, that's what you have kept saying to me. Like, that's how we weed out the good agents and the not so good agents. Correct. Because those agents who were we had that video, the COVID agent.
Well, let's talk about some of those agents. We almost just lost a deal because an agent got emotionally involved, right? Yep. Like literally had a termination sent to us because that agent, and how has she been to work with for you?
You know.
Yeah, right?
We're not going to disclose, but you know.
Painful. Because she's not removed, she's not professional, doesn't know what she's doing, and her poor buyer has no clue what could have happened because she's so unprofessional.
Yeah.
And they're out there. And I would say, of all the deals that we're in, I'm looking at our board, I would say over half are incredibly difficult to get to the table with.
Yeah, I think of one or two that have been wonderful.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, the ones that I hope we work with in the future, you know. Well, obviously you can't control that.
But to some extent you can. And that's what people don't understand. So.
I mean, I think that this conversation just goes back to the make sure you know what your agent is, like, make sure you know what your agent's going to do for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, we've had some trouble with our, you know, like, you know, we want to make sure that we're selling our listings, but, you know, we're still working and we're changing things, you know, we're not just staying stagnant.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing.
It is important. Yeah. So I think as a seller right now, I think it's important that you realize the market has shifted. And you know, you see some houses sell quickly, some don't. There's some rhyme or reason to that. A lot of it is, like you said, buyers don't have a whole lot of vision. They want move-in ready, and as sellers, you have to put your best foot forward. Yeah. You have to be willing to do those small repairs. Yep. You have to be willing to do some paint. You have to be willing to, you know, look at touching up some flooring. And there's a rhyme or reason to it, right? We don't want you to remodel the kitchen before we put it on market. No. You know, but there are some things that you have to be willing to do as a seller right now, and that is, you know, do some staging, you know, professional photography, all those things that we're going to help you go through. Pricing is your number one deal killer right now. Overpricing a home is it'll kill it.
Yeah, we've seen that, you know, just
absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's super important. It's just coming around to that realization that that's really where we are in this market.
Definitely. And we are coming out with a video about, you know, some design choices that might be better. Yeah. You know, like staging choices, because we've seen a shift in what people look for and what they prefer and stuff.
Yeah, trends change all the time, and I think it's important to stay on top of those trends, especially if you're getting ready to list your house.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to, of course it's your home and that's where you live, so you want it to be personal, but if you are thinking, or even, you know, even coming close to maybe the next 6 months of selling your house, now's the time where you really want to start going more towards just neutral, not even neutral colors, which is really what's in right now, but you just want to start kind of depersonalizing and just making your house more neutral, because it does matter. Those are the homes that are pulling in top dollar. Yeah. I mean, or one of our listings that we just had, I mean, I walked in that house and immediately I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Beautiful.
Like, yeah, this house is gonna sell in a hot minute. Like,
and it did, really.
Multiple offers, well over asking. It sold over appraisal. It was a COVID house. It really was, you know. But that's because she was meticulous. It was straight out of a magazine. Yeah. And buyers, and any buyer could have done that. Yeah. I mean, they fought over shelves in that house that were from IKEA for $25. Yes. Right? But that's because the buyer didn't have the vision that she had to be able to do that.
That's a suggestion for buyers, is kind of open your eyes a little bit more. Don't have so much like tunnel vision and all those filters, you know. Just be more open to like seeing like, oh, I could do this with this thing, or you know what I mean? Like, that's another big thing.
Oh, that's a great point right there. Sellers, you got to put your best foot forward, price it right, and be willing to make the small changes. But for buyers, that's great advice, Anna. Like, there are so many deals out there that I'm seeing that buyers are just overlooking because they want to pick up their box, put it down, and live in, you know, HGTV.
And I understand, you know, wanting convenience and wanting an easy, you know, process and everything. But I mean, I think when you move into a new house, I think that's the most exciting part of it, is getting to make it your own.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, just thinking about the fact that this doesn't have to be the be all end all.
Right.
You know, like it could be a wonderful house that you start off with, a wonderful foundation, but you can do so much with it.
Oh, I've seen some of our buyers, especially during COVID, because it was, you go back and it was that if you got to pray, you know, you better pray on the way there, right? And then it was like, we got, you know, half a house to show you, because literally as we're going, showings are getting canceled. They went under contract, right? Yeah. And so then it was like, okay, do you like the location? Because that's the only thing you can't change. It was like, oh, I hate that wall. We can remove the wall. Or, you know.
That's like, they're all things that you can change.
You can change. But now buyers are like, oh, I don't like the paint. It's a deal breaker. It's like, oh my gosh, you know. And sellers aren't understanding that's the mindset of what we're dealing with right now. And in buyers' defense, they're having to come up with so much more money for closing costs to buy their rate down, or even just to be able to afford to get in the door. So they don't have that expendable income, you know, for paint or whatever. So it's a matter of,
she's popular right now.
I know, it's nonstop, right? It's a matter of just that balance.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Market's trying to find its way.
But that's, you know, I think that's our advice, you know, buyers and sellers, like, I mean, that's what you got to do right now.
That's exactly what you have to do right now.
And we'll keep you up to date.
Yeah.
Because we always try to, so.
We will, yeah. Like she said, our next video is going to be a fun video, just trends, you know, what paint colors are in, what paint colors are out. It's so important. Gray, gone.
Like gray anymore. It's cute, but
it ain't cute. Dead gray. Yeah, so grays are gone. Well, we're gonna tell you what's in. We're gonna tell you it's popular, without breaking the bank too. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Give you some money saving tips.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be so expensive, and I think people don't realize that either.
$25 IKEA shelves.
$25 IKEA shelves.
They were fighting to the death over these shelves. Kind of, y'all don't even understand.
Goodness.
So. It's legit.
Seriously.
So, yeah, well, this is fun. Quick little
combo. So,
it's good.
See you guys next time.